Hey everybody, Barbecue Tom here, and I'm just going to be guiding you through making Beef Wellington on the big green egg. So the first step, I have finely chopped up 2 portobello mushrooms, and I've added 3 tablespoons of olive oil into the pan on medium-high heat. When the oil was hot, I dumped those mushrooms in, seasoned with salt and pepper, and added some thyme. And now I'm just cooking off the moisture here. This is the first step in making the Beef Wellington. I could do this on the egg, but it's winter, and it's not really going to add anything to be doing this stage on the egg. So I'm going to start this part indoors, but the actual baking of the Beef Wellington will be done on the egg. So I'm a huge Gordon Ramsay fan. Watch Hell's Kitchen all the time, and his Beef Wellington is a prominent recipe on that show. So I've recently subscribed to a master class of Gordon Ramsay, and I was thrilled when that recipe was featured in the master class. Just dumped some mushrooms over the side by accident there. So I'm walking through that before. So I've never done this before, and I thought about doing a practice run, but then I thought, no, you know what? I'll just take you guys with me on my first run. And if I screw up, you can all laugh at me with me. So there we go. So we're just cooking off the moisture here, and I'll show you as we proceed. Okay, so after I have sweated out all the moisture from the mushrooms, I have taken my center cut tenderloin, and now I'm in the process of searing it. 60 seconds on each side in a very hot cast iron pan with grapeseed oil, because I've just recently learned that grapeseed oil works better at high heats than olive oil does. And you can see the beauty of the cast iron is you get that gorgeous sear. So you do that once for each side. I've also mixed my batter for the crepes. The crepes are optional, but Gordon Ramsay uses them, so I'm going to use them as well. And it's sort of at the shaking there, so that's been about 60 seconds. So there you go. And after this is done, I will be coating it with mustard and letting it rest. Okay, so after the tenderloin is seared, you pour the juices from the pan over it. You don't want to waste any of that. And then we're going to go ahead and take Dijon mustard, and we're just going to use a pastry brush or a barbecue brush, and we are going to coat it very well. And it's important to do it while it's hot, so that the mustard seeps into the beef and it helps tenderize it even more. I know it's a tenderloin, center cut, but it's going to make it even that much more tender, and it's just going to marinate inside there. And we're going to do the whole thing, be fairly liberal with it. And then I believe we put the tenderloin in the fridge for about 20 minutes, or if you're in a rush, which I don't understand why you'd be in a rush if you're making Beef Wellington, but let's say you're in a rush and you want to do it a little bit quicker, you can put it in the freezer for 5 minutes. You've mixed up your crepe mix and let it sit in the fridge for about half an hour. You just have to measure out about a 1/4 cup at a time. And if you're lucky enough to have a crepe pan like me, this is a little bit easier, but it'll work fine with any kind of pan. You just pour it into the center there. You want to just kind of swirl the pan around so that the batter will roll out, and you will make a nice thin pancake, also known as a crepe. The batch makes about 5, but we only need about 1.5. nice close-up of the crepe. So that's a thyme and chive crepe. It called for thyme flowers, but I couldn't find any thyme flowers, so I just used thyme leaves. So once you're done cooking your crepes, this is the color and consistency you're looking for. You don't want them to brown. You're basically doing them 25 to 30 seconds on the first side, and then just a few seconds on the second side once you flip them, so that they set nicely. They're going to do all their cooking inside the puff pastry with the beef. Okay, so you cut your crepes into squares, and using 2 or 3 crepes lined up about the width of your tenderloin, you then lay out the prosciutto and then the mushroom mix on top of that. And then the juices from your tenderloin, it's hard to do holding the camera, but you're going to pour those juices over the mushroom mix as well. Okay, so then you use the cling wrap, the plastic wrap, and you roll your Beef Wellington up in the crepe and prosciutto mushroom mix. And then you make sure it's nice and tight by twisting the sides. And then you pop that in the fridge for 20 minutes, or if you're in a hurry, in the freezer for 5. Okay, so you roll out your puff pastry, and using the egg yolk wash, you brush it all around the Beef Wellington, which you've placed about 1/3 of the way up. And then, I can't show you this on the video, it's going to be a little tricky, but you're going to use the plastic wrap to roll the puff pastry around the Beef Wellington. I'll show you the final product. So you've rolled it up and you've nice and tightly rolled the edges here. We're just going to cut those off after we've refrigerated this for 5 minutes. And then the Beef Wellington is ready to go. Sorry, that's not true. Then we're going to put some more egg wash on top, score it, season it for the last bit, and then it's ready to go into the egg. Okay, so correction to what I just said. You unwrap the Beef Wellington, and then you coat it with the egg wash. You score it and try to make a fancy design, which not sure how well I did there. And then it goes in the refrigerator for 5 minutes before putting in the egg, which should be preheated to 425 degrees with the plate setter in. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes. Hit the light here. Oh wow, that's gorgeous. You can see here I got juices running out and I got a hole there. That means I didn't tighten that end as well as I did this end, which that's a shame. But overall, she looks pretty good. Pretty good indeed. So now we're just going to take her out of the egg and let her rest for 5 minutes. Okay, so here it is inside with better lighting. So that hole, that's something to work on for next time. Make sure I get it nice and tight and totally sealed. But overall, I'm happy with the color. Minimal spillage or leakage. And now the real test is to cut her open after she rests for 5 minutes. One other thing I wanted to note was I had put some bricks in the egg to raise up the pan so that it wasn't sitting directly on the grate, which is on the plate setter. I find that when you raise it up like that, you've got less chance of burning the bottom of whatever you're baking. So that's something I've started doing now. Okay, so it's been resting for about 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do here is just cut this end piece off, and this is the moment of truth. So that's a nice crunch. Oh, that is beautiful. That is like a perfect medium rare. Wow, the inside looks amazing. I'm super happy with that. Wonderful. Okay, now I'm just going to cut it and plate it. And that's it. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And stay tuned for another video.